All right. So this is a car ramp, and I'm sitting in a parking lot. I'm stationary. That's why I don't have my hands on the wheel. People are like, stop driving, stop driving. So I have stopped driving. Although I got to tell you, I kind of feel weird sitting in my car in a parking lot. I feel really strange. And I feel like people might call the police on me or something and be like, there's a weird dude out in his car. But hey, I've dealt with that before. Maybe. All right, so let's see here. What do I want to talk about today? I want to get serious today. I want to talk about an issue, and I want to talk about something that keeps coming up, and I don't know where it's going to lead. You know me. I'm going to go on a tangent here. I'm going to go on a rip. I'm going to go on a tear. I'm going to go on a rant. All right, parents who've lost a child. Once a week, I bet you once a week I get a phone call or a visit from somebody who's lost a child. And they're mostly like 18 to 30. Sometimes it's older than that, but like 18 to 30 is sort of like the range. And the stories are so eerily familiar. It's like the names change, some of the details change, but the overall theme is very, very similar. And at Favor Greenville, we're trying to figure out a way to help parents who've lost kids. We really believe that we need to, I know that there are some groups out there, but it's a very unique experience when you've lost a child to addiction. So here's the deal. What's the story usually go down like? It's usually something like, well, then we did an intervention and he went to treatment. Okay, well, then what happened? Well, when he was first at treatment, he didn't really want to be there. But then we had a family meeting, and we got there, and the counselors and stuff said, if he doesn't do what he needs to do, he's going to have to stay longer. And we got upset with them, and all of a sudden he started doing what he needed to do, and he was a treatment superstar. Now, understand, on a side note, understand what's going on there. That's called, there's a term for that. Institutional adjustment or superficial compliance. Right? I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. Here I am. I'm 19 years old. I've been using pills. I don't buy any of this stuff going on. I don't buy any of this crap that anybody's saying. But you know what? I realized that if I don't comply with what my counselor is saying, or I don't comply with what the group is saying, that I'm going to be held accountable and I'm going to have to stay here longer. And I don't want to do any more time, so let me become very, very compliant. I'm really good at that. I'm 19 years old. I'm really good at looking at what adults want. I'll tell you what you want to hear. And all of a sudden, Johnny becomes a treatment superstar. Then what's going on is there's not a lot of real exploration of the issue going on. He's not telling anybody that he wants to smoke weed. I'm not going to do pills, but I'm going to keep smoking weed. I'm going to keep drinking, that kind of stuff. And he leaves rehab after his parents kind of get this sense that things are going okay. He leaves rehab and he goes to a sober living house. And when he's in a sober living house, he's given a little bit of freedom, and all that superficial compliance, it starts to bubble up. It becomes very evident because in a sober living house, you can't get by if you have superficial compliance. You really can't fake it in a sober living house. You might be able to for a while, but the deal is if you want to do the wrong thing, you're going to have a chance to do the wrong thing. So a couple months later, or a couple weeks later, or sometimes 2 days later, Johnny's high. And then Johnny's kicked out of the sober living house. Now, I don't blame the sober living house for kicking them out. What else are you going to do if you're in a sober living house? I think we could probably come up with other solutions, but that's standard operating practice. And now Johnny has failed, and maybe they'll roll them back into a sober living house. If he has the right insurance, they'll roll him back in so they can start billing for urine screens again and stuff like that. But now he's on this revolving door. But see, really what the problem is he's never actually gotten to the core issue. And the core issue is, I don't want to quit. And I just told you what you wanted to hear for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I told you what you wanted to hear. I never really did want to quit. So the family is, they're stuck in this situation, and it's getting worse, and the family's like, should I bring him home? Should I not bring him home? And the counselor's like, no, screw, he can't come home. He can't come home. You got to hold a boundary. And then the unthinkable happens. Because now, while Johnny's messing around and trying to figure out his way and quote-unquote hit bottom, he's taking drugs that a pinch of freaking carfentanil and fentanyl will kill you. And I'm getting tired of all these experts talking about, here's how much it'll kill you, and here are the dangers associated with it, and they're not willing to say, that's why we need to totally revamp our private treatment system. Nothing against any certain private treatment provider. And I'm saying private because, believe it or not, I think the public treatment system is trying to revamp. It's very interesting because the public treatment system is run by the federal government. They're more into evidence-based practices. Now, I still think there's so many limitations there, and there's so many different things that could be done with that. But it's interesting. It seems to me that the people who are so beholden to the traditional stuff that we're going to go down with the ship is more happening on the private end. So I would challenge private providers to really, really think about, how do we develop, what are our programs that allow us to actually have real conversations with these 18 to 30-year-olds? Is it a harm reduction approach? There are some people out there right now that I'll say, is it a harm reduction approach? And their head will spin. Their head will spin. No, Rich, you can't do that. Well, let me tell you, have a conversation once a week with a mom who lost a son again and hear the same damn story over and over again about how the program wouldn't adjust and how he couldn't comply and how he was kicked out of group. One time, kicked out of group for arriving late. One other time, kicked out of rehab for having potato chips in his room. All of these private providers. Let's go on a record. Private providers. And you know what? I don't know what to say about that. I know I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut. I know I'm not supposed to talk about this, but these are the methodologies that have to be challenged. These are the methodologies that should be scrapped, quite frankly. It's not working. We're gonna try different things. In favor of Greenville, if we got to get in the game to demonstrate that it can be done differently, then we will get in the game. If we got to open up a rehab to show that there's another way to do this, then we will do that. I've never been more determined about anything in my life. Gotta go.